What's going on tonight? I've got a different type of message for you, maybe a little bit more serious. Got the Ford Boss shirt on with the Be Blessed on the back. I don't know if you can see it or not, but anyway, I'll leave the link down below. Some of you have been asking about merch. My message tonight is it's very serious. How many of you sit back and watch daily as all this crazy stuff in the world goes on around you and nobody can do anything about it? Look at all the stuff that's going on right now with these. I'm going to talk about two things: celebrities and our school system. Look at all the stuff that's going on with P. Diddy. Look at all of the different celebrities and stuff that we've let our children, us, idolize growing up. Look at all the people that have tried to come forward and talk about it, but they never had the venue or they were threatened. Look what these people have done. Why are we putting our value? Why are we putting our trust? Why are we putting our admiration? If I'm admiring admiration, why are we admiring these figures, these movie stars, these actresses that are literally destroying our children? They're destroying each other. They're in with the politicians. They are just so nasty and so corrupt. But yet we still allow our children to idolize them, want to be like them. And then all these years later, all this shit comes out. That J-Lo and Kevin Hart and Usher and Justin Bieber, all, these preachers and stuff, and I'm sure political officials are eventually going to be brought into it. The whole other side of the Epstein shit with P. Diddy. The Clintons, all that stuff tied into it. And we continue to let this shit happen. We continue to let them ruin our lives. Do all this crazy shit behind closed doors. Ruin our children. And then when they get older, they see, like, I thought to myself, man, I used to sing Usher's video or songs and stuff all the time. I used to make fun of Justin Bieber because of the sappy, sad songs and stuff that he sang. Before I started understanding what this was, these were outcries. This was this kid crying out in a way that he didn't want to just come out and say things, and he was asking for help. And nobody knew. Well, there were people that knew, but they were probably forced to keep their mouths shut. We need to stop letting our children idolize these celebrities and idolize these singers and songwriters and stuff like that, and these movie show stars. A lot of them, now they're talking Garth Brooks is all tied in with this, and some other country artists and stuff as well. What the hell, man? There's a dude on TikTok, he's got a carrot colored beard, and he's got a real southern accent, real heavy southern accent, and he was like, man, I said the country music scene didn't get involved in it, but I guess I have to put my foot in my mouth, and I was completely wrong, because I just found out that Garth Brooks and so-and-so is now all part of this, being pulled into this Diddy stuff. And I was like, what the hell? You serious? You cannot trust anybody. You cannot trust these politicians. You cannot trust these movie stars. You cannot trust these singers. You can barely trust people 2 or 3 doors down from your house. In today's day and age, anyway. And here's the other part of this shit that nobody talks about. The schools. The schools and the indoctrination camp. When I went to school, it wasn't all about politics and gender and race and stuff like that. You just learned. You just learned about school stuff, and then you went on about your day. Now they're registering our children to vote. They're talking to them about why they should be voting Democrat, and the sister brother queer books and stuff, and why it's okay to feel special if your brother's playing with you or sitting next to you and touching your leg, and all of a sudden you start feeling this warm fuzzy stuff inside, that it's okay to react. And And this is okay for our children to be reading this stuff, to find these books and stuff in our library. It's okay for our school board to be doing this shit. Did any of you parents out there say that you wanted your child to have access to a book that talked about why it's okay to do something to another child and why it's okay to feel this way? I had this conversation with my daughter about 4 or 5 months ago because she's starting to become interested in boys, and she's only 12 years old. Not interested in boys to the point where she wants to go, do nasty things with them, but she thinks they're cute, or she likes Aquaman's muscles or something like that. Normal at her age. And I wanted to sit down and have a conversation with her about, me and her mother sat down, both of us together, and then individually. You have any questions that maybe you didn't want to ask in front of mom that you want to ask me? And then mom did the same thing. You have any questions you want to ask of me that you didn't want to ask in front of dad, because our relationships are different. That's my job to do that shit. You can teach my child about sex ed and stuff like that and do your thing. But that's my job to get in depth and teach them about what is right and what is wrong, how to look for the right guy or the right girl. I don't need a fucking school doing that. I don't need a school telling my child how to vote. And why is it that whenever these protests and shit are going on, where there are specific groups that I can't say on YouTube, because if I use names, then all of a sudden I start getting threatened and stuff like that. Why are there specific socialist, Marxist type groups that want to go out and protest and stuff like that? And the very people that are out there protesting with them are teachers from the fucking school. Teachers that have been identified from the school out there with them doing that stuff. Why is it okay for politicians like Maxine Waters and stuff like that to go out and tell people publicly to go create chaos in the street because that's the only way change is made? Well, if that's what you want, maybe we should start creating chaos in the fucking street so we can start making some real change. Because obviously the Democrat politicians like to get out there and say all this stuff and get away with it. Talk about maybe we should unalive or off this guy or something like that and get away with it. But by damn, if it's a libertarian or a conservative or something other than a liberal, they get hung up. Hung out to dry. They can't say stuff like that. I was just watching in the news that another a teacher from, I forget what it was, just Google, like 34-year-old or 36-year-old teacher sleeps with students here recently. She's getting 2 years in prison because she slept with his child, or this high school student, and the student got pulled over while they were driving. She told the student to drive because she was too impaired, and then he openly admitted to his father that they had smoked weed and had sex and drank, and also admitted to the cops that the same thing happened. And you're starting to see stuff like this more and more and more and more. I'm over this shit, man. I'm ready to start holding motherfuckers accountable. I'm ready to start. I don't care if we get rid of every politician that's in control over every city, every state, and start our own control in our own state, because enough is enough. It is absolutely freaking disgusting right now with all the shit that's going on in the world, and then we can throw the migrants and stuff on top of it. But we don't even need to talk about that right now. Our own fucking people are doing this shit to our kids. Our own people. That's why I like private school. That's why I love private school. And I'm not saying private school is perfect, but it's a hell of a lot better than public school. It's a hell of a lot better than these brainwashed Democrats that sit on these school boards, these school union boards and shit, and that cause the chaos and the destruction and cause our children to be fucked up. It's absolutely sick. And we send our children off to these schools every single day to allow these people to do this to our kids. And I'm not saying I have an answer for what you all are supposed to do. But if everybody would start showing up at their local town meetings, their school meetings and stuff like that, and start holding, and I'm not talking just like a handful, I'm talking hundreds, thousands, and flood these rooms whenever these meetings and stuff are going on, people would be like, oh shit, we're fucked. There are more of us than there are of them. I don't care about no law enforcement or no military area. There are more of us in the world that have families that are living in this world that are getting that are being mistreated by the people that run this world than there are security officials. Let me just leave that in your court right there and not say any more on that. It's sick. I saw that article just like 45 minutes ago and I said, nah, I'm not going to make that video about that teacher doing that shit to that student. And then I started thinking about our kids, the celebrities, the things that they idolize, how fucked up it is. That you had Taylor Swift talking about how the Soros of the world own parts of her contract or her recording shit. Soros and the Soros is tied in with the Biden family and everything else. She wanted to stand there on the Women Voice, some kind of speaking thing, and talk about how she didn't have rights to her own music and she was going to have to stop and start her own thing, and they were controlling her like this. But yet she'll fucking turn around and get on the internet and endorse Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. Give me a fucking break, man. And our children follow these people. So she's a hypocrite is what she is. Because that Democratic Party's all tied in together. I'm off of it. I'm fired up tonight. I'm sorry I went too far and I apologize for the language. This video will probably end up getting taken down. But I just want y'all to know where I stand. I don't give a shit about a school board. I don't give a shit about any of that stuff. If I catch you in my town, around me, or whatever, doing this type of shit to children, I'm exposing you. This ain't gonna happen. I'm tired of my thinking about, what if it was my kid? What if my kid was put in that situation? What would I do? And it would be some evil shit that I could not even speak about. And I keep thinking about that girl the other day that I put the video up, where the mother went in and confronted the administrator about, you took my child out of class to register her to vote without my permission. And then you kind of tried to groom her about voting for the Democratic Party. And then I watched a follow-up video from the lady, and she said, when I got the voter registration stuff, how they registered her, even though she told them my mom is a conservative, my mom is a Republican, I'm going to talk to my mom about it. They registered her as a fucking Democrat. Absolutely sick. All right. I got that out of my head. It's out here in social media land now. Some of you, I don't know, maybe some of you will hate me for saying shit like this, but whatever. I just don't feel like talking about car stuff over the last like week and a half, 2 weeks. I just barely want to talk about car stuff. I'm worried about what's going on in the world. And it makes me sick. And eventually there's going to be something bad that happens to change everything. I love y'all. Have a good night. Have a safe weekend. Please take care of yourself. Take care of your family. Be blessed.